What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York, calling from the couch again, and this time we return after a very long time with Beau of Blessthefall. It is so great to be able to speak with you again. The last time we spoke was back in 2018, right after you put out Hard Feelings. It was on the tour you did with Of Mice and Men, and Fire from the Gods was on it, and
Yeah.
that was a great time.
Yeah, that was super fun. We actually, my Simon's always been good dudes, good friends of ours, and we've toured with them, I think, through every lineup they've
Yeah,
had. Every singer.
yeah.
Uh,
So,
yeah.
Of Mice and Men is a band that I definitely would say that I go back memories with, like with Bless the Fall, Of Mice and Men, Escape the Fate, like that whole like sort of scene. Like
Yeah.
when we like look back at like what that's what I know the When We Were Young festival lineup is going to consist of mainly. Like Watch, Bring Me the Horizon headline it with you guys and like Escape the Fate
Mhm.
and every band we could think of in that genre. Asking Alexandria, everybody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was it's really cool to see this sort of scene kind of make a resurgence. Like I think it got probably a little oversaturated for whatever reason, and maybe just because there's so many bands and so many tours going on, and I feel like now people are missing it a little bit. Like the emo had like the whole resurgence with all the emo nights and stuff like that, and I think like metalcore is kind of getting its like its flowers now, where like people are like, oh, this is cool, like
Yeah.
we missed this, or the younger generation didn't get to go see us play. So even when we did our like Hollow Bodies 10-year anniversary, a lot of kids were like the younger ones are like 14 years old. I'm like, how did you hear about us? Like, oh, my uncle, my cool uncle or something, or like my older brother
Speaking
knows
of
you guys.
speaking of tattooing, like so in New York you have to be 18 to get tattooed no matter what.
Yeah.
The youngest client now that I tattooed was born in April of 2007. That's legal.
Oh,
And they literally like said, "Oh, Lincoln Park. Yeah, my parents listen to them. They're okay." Like I'm now starting to hear that the music from younger kids that the music I liked is lame. That's where we're currently at right now.
yeah. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Makes you feel old, but also like, it's like, it's just pretty cool. It feels like we had kind of a rite of passage, and we've kind of earned our stripes and stuff like that to be able to come back around and still be, making music
Yeah.
at the age of.
Well, I got to tell you, as a fan, like, as somebody who has been listening to Bless the Fall since, before you even joined with his last walk, the evolution that I've witnessed from Witness to Hard Feelings to now, it's like, I, I know it's weird to say, I'm not trying to blow smoke, but like it's really like it makes me really happy to see that a band that resonated with me as a teenager is still making music that really resonates with me as an adult now, and I think really captures that same energy that we always loved. Going back when you first joined the band and made Witness, could you have seen yourself, because we never know where we're going to be 10, 15 years from now. Could you see yourself making songs like Wake the Dead or Drag Me Under? Could you see a collaboration to the extent of that with Alpha Wolf and Caskets and Story of the Year
Yeah.
and what have you?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I never really had a vision, to be honest. I'm very in the moment, like even when I joined the band, I had another band before, and I didn't want to try out for Bless the Fall yet because I felt like I was ditching my band, and then my band did pretty, things were going bad, and I was just like, fuck it, let's do it. And then I think from there on out, it's been a lot of just like going off instinct and living in the moment and living freely. And yeah, I never was like, and this is probably to a fault. I was never like, we're gonna do this and this and this one day. I was just like, it would be sick to play Warp Tour or something, like it would be cool. And I'm just gonna put my absolute all into this, put all my heart and energy into this and see where it goes. And I think that it's kind of, brought us to this point where we're still around after X amount of years, and we've seen a lot of bands fizzle out or do whatever else. And um, I feel like that's benefited us, where you don't have any real expectations. You're just, putting your best foot forward, and putting all your energy and heart and soul into something. And I think that like a lot of times it'll pay off, and you'll feel fulfilled with that. I feel like if I was like, oh, we're gonna fucking headline an arena someday, and we didn't, then I'd be like, oh, damn it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, I think I never really had a vision for this. I just was like, I just want to do this for as long as possible. I just want to do it And when the time is our time has come and the time, and it's time to like step away and move on, then we'll do so. But I feel like I want to do that, knowing that I gave everything I could to it. So
I was going to save this question for maybe later in the interview, but kind of where we are right now, it's probably more appropriate to bring it up now. But like, we always grow, like we're always growing and developing, whether we like it or not. And, like when you listen to, like, when you take one of my favorite songs of all time, which is 590, like to this day it's so hard for me to let go of you, but I'm coming back, is an anthem I say whenever I'm talking to family who I haven't seen in a
yeah,
while or anything like that. It's a morning song for me. But
yeah.
we're never the same person when we first discovered that song or when you first wrote it. So we always want to grow as individuals, but we also have to maintain that spark and that edge when we first made that music. So has sort of your personal growth and maybe your artistic side, have they ever butted heads in that way? Have you had to like almost kind of grow in one aspect of a human being but almost stay put in another at times?
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I think that yeah, that's definitely kind of just how we've evolved as a band. Even doing this new record was really trying to capture what we do best and be authentic. But also we've matured, we've grown. We're not the same kids we were when we wrote that music, and you know, but there was something so special about it that I think not a lot of, I think some bands and some artists feel that pressure to mature, and they feel like they've grown out of whatever genre that they started in. Um, and that's fine. That's totally cool. But I feel like for us, we have such a cool fan base, like such a cool core fan base that loves us for us, for who we are, and for songs like 590, things like that, where it's like that's just genuinely who we are, genuinely what we like to write. So I think coming out with this new album, yeah, going back to what you said of like growing and maturing, but also there's a part of us that wants to like remain who we were when we wrote those songs. And so I think, yeah, there's a careful balance for sure. And I think that with songs like you've heard so far, like metalcore specifically, where it's like very like very like unabashedly metalcore, unabashedly Blessthefall, where like we're just writing this big fun fucking chorus, and we're writing these super heavy parts, and we're gonna have this like extra halftime breakdown at the end to just like be a little over the top with it. And so I think that the people that love our music and who have been around, like yourself, like will appreciate that song. And even like Wake the Dead and the whole record, I think really stays true to who we are, but with obviously maturity. It sonically sounds better, the mixes are better, the songwriting is, I think, more dialed in. You're not going to find us really trailing off and doing these like 9-minute songs or anything.
Yeah.
But
Well, with having like these different sides of your vocals, because I want to circle back. I'm a little nostalgic. It was, when I was
yeah,
asked to reach out this interview, I was like, I got to go back in time a little bit too.
yeah,
But
no,
like,
that's fine. Do
but
it.
like
Yeah.
when I first heard To Hell and Back, or What's Left of Me, also because I sadly missed the anniversary tour because I was in Kentucky when you came here
Oh
in New York in
no.
2009. I was
Yeah,
so
yeah,
bitter that I missed that tour. But when I heard those songs, You Deserve Nothing and I Hope You Get Less, the intensity but then the melody behind it, were you always like, would you say that contrast is reflective of who you all are in Bless the Fall as individuals, to have like that sort of like really, I mean, the melodic vocals are almost like angel like in the sense of the elevation behind it and the
yeah,
intensity, and then the growls are just unlike anything I've heard.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's just kind of going back to what I loved growing up. I love punk rock. I love metal. I also loved hip hop and the aggressiveness of hip hop and gangster rap, like that kind of shit. So I feel like I just um, kind of just put everything that I really loved, all my tastes, into this music, and just the attitude of it, and you deserve nothing. I hope you get less. Like that's very like, obviously that's got a lot of attitude and some negative connotations, but it's also like fuck you attitude. I think like that's part of being punk and all that stuff. So I think like all my tastes went into what we were doing with Blessthefall, and I feel like it really like scratched all those itches where like I can't scream like very well. I do some stuff live, and I've been trying, but like just even being able to like write these lyrics and write these like metal like screamy vocal patterns and then Jared go in there and just fucking smash it. I'm like, oh, this is so cool to like I said, it was scratching all these itches that I had of like wanting to have something that was really, really aggressive and then really, really beautiful and anthemic for people to sing along to. So
Yeah, because I've always wondered that, because when I looked at you and the bands that were big at the time, like We Came as Romans, I think was always a good example as well. Like, when there's multiple vocalists as well contributing, did you and Jared like always need to be in the same emotional headspace when collaborating together, even though you were expressing different vocal patterns, or like in order to like make the lyrics kind of flow together and kind of make the song consistent, or was it better off if you were all kind of like in your own individual worlds?
Yeah, you know what? At first, and we've gone through a big metamorphosis as a band and our songwriting and the way we create. And I think at first it was pretty important for all of us to be in the same room, and we did write songs in the same room, and it was a longer process, obviously, when you're like sitting in like a garage or like a practice space and you're like jamming and all that stuff. And you get something cool out of it for sure. But I think, yeah, we did need to kind of be in that same headspace where I'm like, hey man, like this is what I'm thinking for this song. I got these lyrics I'm working on, blah, blah. I got this little like metal, like this vocal pattern, like this screaming pattern. Like, what do you think? And I'd be like, dude, that's sick. Okay, let me work with that. And then, the band would add their like, oh, it'd be kind of cool if it did this instead, right? And so, yeah, I think we were always kind of on the same page with stuff. There wasn't very many times where we ever butted heads with like a direction of a song, really. Like, I feel like, since I can't write music, I get the songs, like Eric will write and then send to me, and then I'll just kind of go based off of a feeling on whatever that song. You hear the music and it makes you feel a type of way. You hear Hey Baby and you feel a way, and so I think that's what is kind of cool about our dynamic of, I'm not the one writing the music and the lyrics. I'm getting the music, and Eric's now written this song and he doesn't know what to do after that. So he gives it to me and I go, whoa, right off the top of my head, I'm thinking like, I watch the sun again. And I'm like, that's literally, that just came to me. I was sitting in a car. I was literally listening to the song over and over, and I was sitting in my Corolla S in a parking lot of Olive Garden. And I was just like, and I don't know, it's just something that it just like evokes something out of you when you hear music without any lyrics or melodies or anything. And so it's pretty cool. Like, I think it's a special way to write it, rather than, when you're, like I said, when you're a singer-songwriter, I think you're married to exactly what you're playing and you have this vision. But when you get the music separately and you just go off of your raw emotions, then I think you create something that's totally different. But yeah, I think I went on a bit of a tangent there.
Please go on tangents. Please go on tangents.
Yeah.
But and I got a few more questions for you. But like when it comes to like that inspiration that you said, can you really seek that out? Can you really go and look for that, or do you just have to sort of let it strike you?
Yeah, I think you just have to. I think when you force stuff, when you really want to force, like if there was a song that didn't make didn't make Witness, and I felt like we had hit a wall and we were forcing ourselves to come up with stuff for it, and it didn't make the album because we were like, no, just felt, it was just didn't happen naturally. It wasn't going with the flow with like how the rest of the album was, and we just didn't put it on the record and it never came out. So it was like, like we and that almost happened with Hard Feelings too. And we actually took that song and sent it to Keizo, the DJ, and he remixed it and made it this like fucking insane like EDM dubstep banger. And so it was like same thing, he was able to take it and rework it and make it into something else. But yeah, I think if there's ever a time where we feel something has been forced or not natural or it just wasn't right, it just won't go on the album. So when you hear a record, it's literally 10, 12 best songs we could have ever put out and that we were 100% happy with. There's no filler on there whatsoever. The filler just doesn't go on the album at all.
Well, I'm gonna lose
Yeah.
sleep over that Mystery Witness song. But the final question I wanted to ask you is
Yeah.
kind of like talking a little bit more. We brushed upon it earlier in the introduction, but like with the genre of metalcore, I've always found this fascinating with Bless the Fall in particular because I've always thought you guys were super super metal. Like I would have put you guys with a Kill Switch Engage or like All That Remains. Like I know that you played with
Yeah.
like On Earth and As I Lay Dying a lot, but like a lot of times also you seem to have a real fan base when bands like We Came as Romans and Asking Alexandria and like even when like Attack Attack was big. So I always
Yeah.
thought that Bless the Fall was like a really interesting bridge band in a way. Did you guys find yourself like kind of passing through multiple scenes in a way?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I think that's like part of what's the struggle was with with being this type of band was where we fit in. But yeah, when there was bands that came out like of Mice and Men and We Car and Crown and stuff like that, I was like, oh, this is like what we're doing. Whereas before we're like we go on tour with As I Lay Dying and it was rough. Like I think half the crowd kind of liked what we were doing. Half the crowd were like, oh, what is this? And then we went on tour with Architects and it was the same thing. Half the crowd was like, oh, this is cool. And the other half was like, their were up in the air and there's like, this isn't technical enough or
Yeah.
this isn't metal enough. And I think that's what inspired us to call our song Metalcore, because people were like, oh, they're not death metal. They're not black metal. They're not speed metal. They're not, traditional. And people online were like, oh, they're mallcore. Like their fans go to Hot Topic and like things like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that was the,
Well,
so that's kind of just making fun of ourselves a bit. Yeah.
confession, I did get my first Bless the Fall shirt at a Hot Topic.
There you go.
And,
I mean, that's totally fine. I think that like,
hey, no shame.
yeah, no, none at all. My kid shops at Hot Topic now. It's insane. I'm
Oh
like,
my God, that's so weird to hear the singer of Bless the Fall say, yeah, my kid now shops at Hot Topic. He's like passing
so
the torch
crazy.
on.
I'm literally like, I was a poster on this wall in here, and she's like, what?
Isn't
I'm
the
like, no,
point? Isn't the point to make sure the younger generation doesn't make the same mistakes we? But
no, I'm like so supportive, and I think it's so cool, and it's such a full circle moment to like for her to be stoked to go into Hot Topic. And she goes for different reasons. She likes like Hatsune Miku and like some of the anime stuff, and
yeah,
she does listen to a little bit of a little bit of like screamo type stuff, but not a ton. She's not super into it yet. Like she likes some stuff, but
yeah.
um
It was diverse. It was like much different. Like when I got my shirt, though, I think they were selling like Disturbed shirts still, and like
yeah.
like,
It was way more. It was still heavy rock, influenced. I think they're trying to keep some of that, but it definitely they've just always gone. It's called Hot Topics. They go with the trends, right? So it's always kind of an alternative trend. It's not the mainstream trend. It's like there are some pop things in there, but there's like a lot of really cool anime and like shit like that isn't mainstream, and like they still got the gothy clothes and stuff like that too. So
it was right before all the bands had bubble letters for metal. For metalcore bands had bubble letters, and now, but now back in our day, the logos were bubble letters versus these kids these days with their unreadable like death metal logos. But But before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time, and thank you for continuing to give us new music. It's really cool that when some of the artists that I personally grew up listening to, I still get to have conversations with them to this day, and still am able to witness, pun somewhat intended, like growth, and as an adult, have music that still resonates with me. Is there just anything else with the release of Gallows we could be expecting for the near future, Blessthefall, if you're allowed to say at this very moment, of course?
Yeah, well, yesterday we announced our headliner tour with Miss May I, and it's going to be metalcore mania out there. So it's like if for fans of metalcore, like we toured with Miss May I back in the day, and it's like one of our most memorable tours. We have there's a lot of blogs on YouTube that we would do like tour updates, and we just had some of the best times with those dudes. And I hope we can recreate some of that magic. And so I think like I said, for fans of metalcore, like that is going to be the tour you don't want to miss. It's going to be a great price point. So I know there's going to be a shit ton of tours going on, but we're trying to make it affordable and make sure like we pack the rooms and stuff and have a good time.
That's awesome, and it's really cool because I watch like music documentaries from older bands like Guns N' Roses or Pantera and what have you, and the footage is like very limited. The concert footage from their
Yeah.
early shows suck. Like you can't really get studio sessions. But now like a lot of the bands like I grew up listening to, I could look up their early stages of their career on YouTube. Like I could
I
look up an
know.
interview you did with Brian Stars back in the day.
Oh my God, I would love to rewatch some of those.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah, he was great. He brought a whole different type of energy for sure.
definitely. But thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Bless the Fall. Be sure to check out Gallows. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.
Yeah, buddy. I'll see you soon. Take care.